and we know that being age-friendly improves the quality of life for everyone. The issues your elected leaders will discuss today will help make New Jersey a great place for people of all ages. This includes increasing property tax relief, lowering prescription drug prices, reforming long-term care facilities, and making your utilities affordable. Thank you to all the AARP members and the New Jersey residents who are joining us today. We know it's the voices of people like you who protect the health and financial security that all New Jerseyans deserve. Now, it is my pleasure to turn the floor over to AARP New Jersey's Director of Advocacy, Ev Liebman, who will be moderating the rest of today's virtual day at the Capitol. Ev has spent her career advocating for New Jerseyans. She has been influential in ensuring long-term care residents and staff are protected, especially during the coronavirus pandemic. She is a lead advocate fighting for your financial security, ensuring your utilities are affordable, and ensuring New Jerseyans can remain in their communities where they want to be for as long as possible. Recently, Ev served on the Governor's Coronavirus Restart and Recovery Advisory Council's Healthcare Committee and Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Ev, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for being our moderator today.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you for that kind introduction. Welcome, everyone. It is wonderful to see you all virtually. Thank you for spending this time with us this morning and talking to your elected representatives. As you may know, we're meeting at a critical time. The New Jersey legislature must finalize the state's fiscal year 2022 budget by June 30th. And you know, a budget represents so much more than just dollars and cents. From taxes to our schools to access to healthcare and security and retirement, it impacts every aspect of our lives and our family lives. Pre-pandemic, more than 1/3 of New Jersey households were struggling to make ends meet, and 10% of New Jersey households were living below the federal poverty level. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated this problem, as we all know too well, economically crushing millions of New Jersey families. So now more than ever, the state budget is vital to the interests of our members and all older New Jerseyans. New Jersey residents struggle with the nation's highest property taxes. Many are often forced to make choices to pay for the high cost of prescription medication or their food or their rent. Hundreds of thousands of New Jerseyans can no longer afford their electric, gas, and water bills, and our older workforce still confronts age discrimination on the job. We are asking everyone attending today to take action and write to your representatives to support a budget that both protects the health and financial security of older New Jerseyans. As we go through this morning's program, you will see links in the chat that you can use to find and easily write to your elected leaders, urging them to adopt that budget that supports older New Jerseyans. Governor Murphy has proposed New Jersey fully fund the state's pension system after more than 2 decades of underfunding and undermining the health of our public pension system, which impacts the financial security for 800,000 New Jersey households. We wholeheartedly support this proposal and are urging the legislature to support this in the budget and fully fund our public pension systems. We are also calling on the governor and the legislature to appropriate some of New Jersey's $6 billion in American Rescue Plan's federal pandemic relief funding to provide financial assistance for the hundreds of thousands of residents who have been crushed by the pandemic and cannot afford their electric, gas, and water utility bills, lifeline services that are critical for anyone's basic health and safety, and particularly our older residents. We are also urging the legislature and governor to revise and modernize the Homestead Property Relief Program to keep pace with the reality of today's property taxes and provide the relief so many need in the face of our highest in the nation property taxes. This property tax relief program, benefiting approximately 500,000 New Jerseyans, is still calculated based on tax bills from 2006. 15 years ago, despite a 40% increase in property tax bills since then. it is really time for a change. The governor has also proposed in his budget, and we are urging the legislature to support his plan to expand the pharmaceutical assistance to the aged and disabled, or PAAD, and senior gold programs, which will help more than 21,000 seniors afford their medications. Again, you'll see links in the chat where you can easily take action. We are also urging the legislature to support older workers by eliminating the current age cap on New Jersey's Earned Income Tax Credit. The EITC is a refundable tax credit that helps low and moderate income working individuals and couples. Unfortunately, there's a cap on the program, and anyone over the age of 64 can't participate in this important anti-poverty program. Again, you'll see a link in the chat to urge your elected representatives to make sure this change happens. As you heard, we are also fighting to lower the cost of prescription medications for everyone in New Jersey, and we'll talk more about that later today. As Stephanie mentioned, New Jersey became the 9th state accepted into the AARP network of age-friendly communities and states, a designation we're extremely proud of, and you'll hear more about that from Governor Murphy today. For years, AARP New Jersey has been working with local communities to support strong age-friendly initiatives. We commend the governor and his administration for recognizing the need to make New Jersey an age-friendly state. Simply know that AARP will never stop fighting for your health and financial security. Our strength is you, the more than 1.2 million AARP members who call New Jersey home. Again, thank you for being here today. And on behalf of our members and staff, thank you for your advocacy. So now I think it's time to turn it over to our first guest today, and that is the Assembly Republican leader, John Bramnick. Assemblyman John Bramnick is serving his 6th term in New Jersey General Assembly, representing parts of Union, Somerset, and Morris counties in the 21st District. He has served as the Assembly Republican leader since January 2012, the highest ranking member of the Republican Assembly. Republican leader Bramnick has introduced new laws requiring motorists to stop for pedestrians at crosswalks, a central element of any Safe Streets initiative, limiting pay-to-play contributions, and preserving funding for the arts. You may not know that John Bramnick also holds the title Funniest Lawyer in New Jersey after winning contests sponsored by the Bar Association at the Rascals Comedy Club. He often volunteers his services as a comedic auctioneer on behalf of nonprofit organizations. We're thrilled to have you with us again today, Assemblyman Bramnick. Thank you for being here.
Great to be with everybody. My position has been 100% clear with respect to how we communicate to each other. So 2 weeks ago, I decided to have 15 New Jersey comedians in my backyard. And why did I do that? Well, a lot of the people in the entertainment business have been excluded from actually the opportunity to work. So I thought it'd be a good idea. And what I did was, and here was my mistake from the extremists in New Jersey, I invited both Republicans and Democrats. I guess that's a big no-no. And I actually had Governor Murphy in my backyard, former Governor DeFrancesco, and a number of people from different sides of the aisle. And apparently, not only did I get these kind of messages, but Governor Murphy got these messages. Like, we're not supposed to talk to anybody. Now, I'm going to tell you, this extremism that you're supposed to hate the other side is reprehensible to me. And I didn't just make this up. When I got in the legislature in 2003, I introduced a piece of, resolution that there should be more civility. So the people, one person wrote to me, said, which seat did Murphy sit in? Because I'm never going to sit in that seat at your house again. I said, don't worry, you'll never be invited to my house again. The reason I'm starting the discussion with this is, as the Republican leader, if I can't sit down with a Democratic governor, then I got to tell you something's seriously wrong in our society. And I will continue to fight this battle where even though you disagree, you try to find common ground. I don't know how any family would exist. And this is what's happening in politics today. Can you imagine? I have a daughter. What if my daughter's political ideas are different than mine? Am I supposed to exclude her? Is she supposed to exclude me from the family? How about business people? You work in a business. You're supposed to not work with anybody who disagrees with you. So I'm first fighting the battle to make sure that we talk to each other. And this hate you see on the internet, and I have to tell you, it's the extremists who basically are given the permission because they make news. Most people aren't like that, and I'm never buying into it. And I'll start. Actually, last time I ran in the general election, I had the Democrats on my left, and on my right were two people said I wasn't Trump enough, right? So obviously, my argument was, you're right. I'm only concerned with who I represent. I'm not an extremist on either side. And the reason I keep saying that is because if we don't take control, if the middle of this country, in the middle of New Jersey, doesn't reject this kind of hate, I think we're in for a very, very difficult democracy as we continue. So that's my position. Anybody who disagrees with that and you're a hater on the internet, try to get some psychiatric help, maybe some medication you can afford, of course. But I think anyone who sees this on the internet, they should immediately respond. The problem is the nice people don't want to get into the fight, right? But I think we all have to get on the internet and we see they go like this. That's disgusting. You can say, I'm a Democrat, but I don't hate that guy. I'm a Republican. I don't hate that. So stop. And if we all did that, we'd have better communication. Now for the first of all, AARP does a terrific job. Actually, almost too good a job because they pretty much get what they want. I'm half kidding. Of course, it's got to be good policy. So let me start with what I believe would be the best piece of legislation, not because it's my legislation, because it works. Now, you know, in Florida, they have a homestead type act, but I'm going to break it down. Your taxes pretty much on your houses stay pretty level until you sell the house, right? Now, think about this. Young couple comes in, 2 jobs, their earning capacity is increasing. Yeah, that's when the taxes should go up. So it's an incredibly good model for all of us who are seniors, right? Where our taxes stay relatively stable. And then when you sell the house, that's when you have the serious increase in your property tax. Why I can't get any momentum on that bill, I don't know. But I would like the help of AARP, because all of these so-called limited tax-free stuff, you know, those have political end dates, normally right after an election. And all of a sudden before an election, everybody comes up with tax freezes for seniors, prescription freezes. We need long-term solutions. And in terms of balance, and I'm going to tell you straight out, when you don't have balance in Trenton, you get extreme policies. When you don't have balance in Washington, you get extreme policies, whether it's Democrat or Republican. What you want is you want balance in politics, meaning you want both sides of the aisle to be participating, and then you get kind of a middle reasonable solution. Extremism, even in legislation, is not good. So on that, I could continue to drone on, but Henry Kissinger once said at a Tom King Jr. Fundraiser, he said, you may or may not be interested in what I have to say, but I'm interested in what you have to say. So on that note, I'm happy either to do some stand-up comedy or answer any specific questions, because most of what's been said already I support. So the question is, you need 41 votes in the Assembly, 21 votes in the Senate, and you need 1, as Chris Christie used to say, it's 41, 21, and 1. Oh, one other issue. People come up to me all the time, and they got great policy ideas. I go like this, that's a great policy. Now, you have to have a separate discussion. You're either talking politics or policy. Pick your weapon, right? Because if you don't have the politics, the policy is never happening. So unless you can get 41, 21, and 1, you can have the greatest idea in the world. It's not going anywhere. So when you come up and say, I got this great idea. Great. Now tell me how we're going to get it done politically. Well, I don't know about that. Well, guess what? then we're spinning wheels talking about good policy without the political power to get it done.
Well, thank you for those words, Assemblyman
I'm not
Bramnick.
very passionate about any of this stuff. I'm low key, very low key,
I can
behind the
tell.
scenes, very quiet. I probably need some prescription medication too. If there's any doctors on anything to calm me down.
I can tell. Glad to see that you're as energetic as always, early in the morning, midday, late at night, whenever it might be. And thank you as well for that lesson for our members about the math, because you're absolutely right. That's what it takes. We have a lot of questions in the chat about property tax relief. As you know, that's a big issue for our members, pretty much everybody in New Jersey. We'd be more than happy to take a look at that proposal and how that program works in Florida. We're always looking for ways to help people stay in New Jersey, in their homes and in their communities, and getting our arms around this property tax is one way to do it. We know that we keep hearing we're a little bit flush with cash this year, something new for us here in New Jersey. Given that, and I think I'm going to just ask this question on behalf of everyone, because I know you've got places to go. But do you think we may see some expansion of our property tax relief programs this year, the homestead benefit, as the budget negotiations move to the end zone, so to speak?
Well, anytime you're in a gubernatorial year, the likelihood of getting that kind of relief is much higher. So I would say the answer is yes, and especially in light of the fact that this year, finally in the state of New Jersey, there's significant revenue, both from the Biden money, I'll call it, as well as unanticipated growth in the economy after COVID. So I would suspect, and the concern you have to watch out for is not as much of what you want, but what programs are being expanded or started. So what happens sometimes in the budget process, you all of a sudden see a lot of new programs, and you got to be careful because you don't have the long-term resources or revenue to continue to fund those programs. So keep your eye over on the left side while you're fighting for the right side, because when you're fighting for property tax relief, you're not going to be able to do that long-term if you start seeing a lot of new programs that are done, I'll say, specifically for specific areas or legislators. The more of those programs, the less likely the broader property tax situation will be cured or at least affected.
Well, thank you for that, Assemblyman Bramnick, and thank you so much for being with us today, for your time and for all of your good work on behalf of our members and all New Jerseyans. Thank you so much.
And anybody needs to reach me, I'm easily reachable and let me just end with this. Sometimes I can't do big things, but I can do little things, meaning that if you have a specific problem, and I have fought insurance companies when you couldn't get certain drugs, or you had a family situation where no one could reach a utility. So, you go to asmbramnick.org, just Google Bramnick, and I'm the one who comes up. Some of it's good stuff, some of it's bad stuff. Ignore the bad stuff. But really, I love the constituent stuff, and I like fighting with the big companies who you can't reach because their voicemail, if you try to press 0, they've eliminated that option, which is also a bill I have, that they got to have somebody answer the phone. How's that grab you, huh? Like they get lost in voicemail hell, right? I'm telling you, you can call me, there won't be any voicemail, right? And then when I call them, I guarantee I'll get to somebody.
All right, Assemblyman, we're going to put your...
I'm going to get one more cup of coffee and then I'm calling the doctor.
Okay, thank you and have a great day.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Well, that was the Assembly Republican leader, John Bramnick. Always wonderful to have with us. Again, the funniest lawyer in New Jersey, and also fighting every day on behalf of his constituents. We're so pleased that our next speaker is Assemblyman Gary Scher, who took office in 2006, representing the 36th Legislative District, which includes parts of Bergen and Passaic counties. In the Assembly, Gary holds several leadership positions, including Deputy Speaker and the Vice Chair of the Appropriations Committee. Assemblyman Scher also serves on the Assembly Financial Institutions and Insurance Committee and the Homeland Security and State Preparedness Committee, so he's a busy guy. We have worked with Assemblyman Scher on numerous legislative initiatives over the years, and most recently with him and his staff to introduce and enact legislation to protect utility customers who, because of the economic impacts of the pandemic, are at risk of their electric, gas, and water services being shut off. Assemblyman Scher also serves on the Passaic City Council, where he's the council president. So thank you for being here today, Assemblyman Scher, and to all of you, please welcome Gary Scher. Assemblyman, there you are. Nice to see you.
It's great to see you, Ev.
The floor is yours. We have AARP members from all over the state who have joined us this morning for our second virtual, I'm hoping the last virtual lobby day as we come out of the pandemic, but are thrilled to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate everyone being on the call, taking your precious time to do this. And having said that, I will tell you that following John Bramnick is an experience. Although I don't know if I'm up against a comedian or a whatever. John is a good friend and has done some very, very good things in the legislature. And I think whatever political party you're from, I think you would acknowledge that. I know that I'm supposed to have a few minutes of opening, and I thought about what I'd like to highlight, and there are a bunch of things. I've concluding my 16th year in the legislature, and over that period of time, it would seem to me that people will recognize not only what I've said, but what I've done, what I've tried to do, what I've tried to push. I've had the pleasure to serve now as a deputy speaker. As you know, I served as budget chairman for a number of years, served on a number of different committees, higher ed, et cetera. And I think that's given me a broad appreciation of the many issues that New Jersey faces. The most current issue that we face is a $5 billion differential. And what do we do with that? And how do we proceed with that? And just hearing the ending comments of Assemblyman Bramnick, he pointed out some of those advantages and some of those pitfalls. There are going to be some fundamental ideological discussions in terms of how we proceed with those funds, if at all. Pension, I mean, I can give you a list of possibilities. So rather than tell you about a specific bill or bills, if you wouldn't mind, I'd rather turn it around and do questions and answers, if that would be okay. Given my track record, given the fact that I think that many members of leadership of AARP are well familiar with who I am and what my positions have been historically.
Yes, that is absolutely true. I think that we do have some questions for you in the chat. I just also wanted to remind folks how helpful you were to AARP several years ago as we were working to establish the Secure Choice Retirement Savings Program. And your expertise in the financial services industry was very helpful in terms of molding that program into the program that it is today, and will hopefully be up and running soon, supporting the over, I think it's 1.7 million workers in New Jersey who don't have a way to save for retirement at work. Katie, do we have some questions in the chat for Assemblyman Scher?
Sure, we have a question from Margaret.
Margaret?
Hello, Assemblyman.
Good morning, ma'am.
It's an honor to speak with you. I've been following your career for a number of years now, and I've always respected your concern for the people of New Jersey and good governance. I want to, my pleasure. You've worked hard for us. I want to thank you very much for protecting the consumers of against the shutoffs during the pandemic. Our utilities are essential for our good state of living. Your bill, which protects the consumers by enforcing the utility companies to provide information about the assistance programs and the consumers' rights, that they're entitled to these programs and assistance. But we do know that there's a lot more that needs to be done for the hundreds of thousands of people who are now facing shutoffs because they are in the rears with their utility bills. The utilities are an essential for living a quality of life. We need to keep the lights on, the water running. We need our homes to be cool in the summer, like the heat wave we just had, and warm in the winters. These are crucial for the people, especially the seniors, because we cannot live without these things that and makes it capable for us to live a decent life. And thank you for your 15 years in Trenton and all the work you've done locally, sir. An honor.
Very kind. Thank you, ma'am. I'm very flattered.
Thank you for that, Margaret. And I'll just follow up and ask you, Assemblyman, as I mentioned to Assemblyman Bramnick, we're in a somewhat unusual position this year, budget-wise, of having more money than we've seen in a long time, and what to do with that, including the federal relief dollars from the American Rescue Plan. At AARP, we believe that some portion of those funds should be used to help those most at-risk utility customers have some of those arrearages forgiven. We've seen that in other states and think that that would be an important use of at least some of those dollars to ensure that everyone can participate in the recovery. It's not only residential customers that are at risk. We've seen a doubling of customers who are at risk of shutoff, but also seen a doubling of commercial customers, likely small businesses who are at risk of shutoff because of the pandemic. Any thoughts you can share with us in terms of the discussions around those funds and what your thoughts might be on how best to put those dollars to use?
Thank you for the question. It is the fundamental question. A landslide of money is coming to the state, unexpected. Not only that, but you also have tremendous amounts of funds coming from the federal government, meant to stabilize our states throughout. I think that one needs to look at all of these funds in two regards. One is short-term relief, and the second is long-term planning. In terms of the short-term relief, one that you just mentioned, and the lady who spoke a few moments earlier, is in terms of utility bills. People are in arrears in historic amounts of money. And we always talk about seniors being in a position of having to not take medication because they can't afford it, or taking a pill and cutting it in half and hoping that it'll work at 50% strength rather than the 100% strength that it should be. So we've written a bill which will literally take all of those costs and require payment over a 12-month period of time. thus making it a whole lot easier. That's something which I think works. It's relatively easy. It will be of significant assistance to people on fixed incomes, as most seniors are, and everyone else for that matter. So short-term, that proposal and so many others that have come to the fore. I think that we need to be careful about this money in the sense that we don't become, my mother would always say to me, drunken sailors, right? That we not choose bill after bill after bill and say, let's fund it, knowing that we will not be able to fund it in the future. So these one-shot ideas are ones which I frankly shy away from. There are long-term discussions as well. A bill that I'm working on very, very strongly, and I will admit to you that it is my focus until it can get done, is to look at New Jersey's water and the pipes that deliver that water to the almost 9 million New Jerseyans who live in our state. The bill would provide that all lead in those pipes would be removed. Clearly, that would affect most communities which have been around the longest versus relatively newer developments. Those older communities, all of our cities and so many of our suburbs as well, their piping includes lead, and we have proven fact that lead never leaves the system. It radically affects brain, emotional, and physical development to the tune of 4,500 children each and every year are diagnosed with lead poisoning. That represents to the state individuals who are going to need state assistance for the rest of their lives. And that, of course, is going to cost the taxpayer a lot of money. This bill would provide over a 10-year period the mechanism to have that lead pipe fixed. You are talking about a radical transformation long-term. You're talking about job creation. We're talking about a program that is literally affecting all of us, no matter where we're from, what we look like, the color of our skin, anything and everything. It will be a tremendous boost to the economy, and fundamentally, most importantly, it will take children who otherwise would become wards of the state, if I can use that in quotations, because of the assistance that they're going to need throughout their lives, and provide them with the opportunity that all other children have. So I'm exceedingly excited about that. Again, I think the short term needs to be addressed, but we need to be careful that we're not creating false expectations or initiating programs now that we will not have the funding for in the future. The long term must be the focus,
Yes.
but the short term must be met as well. I'm concerned about a number of proposals out there in terms of reducing sales tax or reducing property tax or reducing this or that, because they are all short-lived. They'll be around for 1 year or 2 years, and then effectively, what will the difference be? And the answer is, we'll be back where we are right now. However, the budget will be significantly higher. The expectation will be that much more. We can't set ourselves up in ways that is going to be more deleterious versus effective for all of us in New Jersey. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We very much, appreciate, as always, your ever thoughtful approach to the budget decisions. I'm excited to hear about your initiative around water. No question, we have to do a lot of work there. And I'll just say on a personal level, as someone who has dealt with a lead paint problem in my own old house when my children were small, I absolutely know what you're talking about, and many of us do. So I want to thank you so much for all of your work. particularly around protecting utility customers. We look forward to continuing our work together with you, and good luck in these final weeks of the budget negotiations. I'm sure you'll be hearing from us some more.
I appreciate it. You hear this with every person that you're interviewing. You hear this from everyone that you meet day by day. And that is the importance and the influence and the concerns of AARP are fundamental. They must be addressed. They must be looked at. There have been a few bills where you and I have not seen eye to eye. But I always tell people, my wife and I are married, God willing, it'll be 46 years in just a few days. And I always say to people that within those 46 years plus, there have been times when my wife and I have disagreed, just once or twice. The bottom line is there is disagreement, and disagreement is healthy. Disagreement is healthy if we use it as a modus operandi in terms of not personalizing it. It's not personal, but it's program, it's policy, where all thoughts need to be considered. The Republicans have some good ideas. I will admit to you, not as many as I would hope they would have. And I don't disagree with John Bramnick, in the sense that we need balance. The problem, you'll forgive me, is the Republicans always talk about balance when they're out of power, and when they're in power, they're not so interested in the same balance. But God willing, things will continue to change in New Jersey. God willing, AARP will continue to have the tremendous influence that it's had under your leadership and so many others. And I look forward, with God's help, to be a part of that solution and to working closely with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and we will see you soon.
God willing. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And so that was great to hear from Assemblyman Gary Scher. I just want to remind folks, if you do have a question, please direct your questions to Katie Question, and she will put folks in the queue. We're going to quickly turn now to some very generous remarks for all of us today from Governor Murphy. And then we will move to our next speaker, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson. So Larry, can you tee up the governor for us?
Hello, everyone. Governor Phil Murphy here to welcome all of you to the AARP's 2021 Day at the Capitol. New Jersey seniors have been instrumental in advocating for issues that are important not just to those of us who are 50 plus, but to everyone in our state. In large part because of your support, your guidance, and leadership, we have made incredible progress toward a stronger and fairer New Jersey for all. And with our age-friendly State Advisory Council focusing on transportation, housing, community access, and support and health services, I expect that progress to continue. We want to make sure that New Jersey is a place where everyone can lead a full and fulfilling life. And that means making sure New Jersey is an affordable place to live. And I'm very proud to see this value put into action through our budget. By expanding access to programs that already provide meaningful savings for our seniors, like the Pharmaceutical Assistance for the Aged and Disabled, or PAD, and the Senior Gold programs, more seniors will be able to afford the medications they need. Likewise, our expansion of the Earned Income Tax Credit for seniors without dependents will increase income for these folks. And of course, we are committed to keeping property taxes in check. I will be the first to tell you that one of the best and smartest ways we've been able to keep increases on property taxes the lowest on record for 3 years has been through investing in our public schools. This not only supports our seniors and our communities through property tax relief, it also ensures your grandkids are getting the education they need to prepare them for a bright future. There can be no denying that the past year, almost a year and a half in fact, has been incredibly challenging. but I have never been more optimistic for New Jersey's future. On these issues and so many more, our seniors and the AARP in particular are leading the way for meaningful, positive change. So I want to thank you for the work that we have already done together to create a stronger and fairer New Jersey for all, and wish you a productive day of advocacy. Thanks to each and every one of you, and God bless you all.
So that was Governor Murphy, the 56th governor of New Jersey, having previously spent 23 years working for Goldman Sachs. He sends his apologies for not being able to be with us in person today. And as you know, normally we would be in Trenton, walking the halls of Trenton for our traditional days at the Capitol. But because of the pandemic, we are virtual, splitting our days at the Capitol in two, about an hour and a half today and an hour and a half tomorrow. Larry, can you put slide 4 up on the screen for us just for a second before we get to Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson? Just want to make sure that everyone sees, and you have this link in your chat, the priorities that AARP is focused on for the fiscal year 2022 budget. 1, fully fund the state's public pension systems, increase property tax relief, end age discrimination, support low-wage older workers by expanding the earned income tax credit, calling on the governor and legislature to increase utility bill payment assistance programs, work that we have heard Assemblyman Scher is working on, and help more older residents be able to afford their prescription medications by expanding the PAD and Senior Gold program. You can get more information about these issues at our website. You see the link there, and it is in the chat. And you can also use that link to send a message to your own representatives to support these AARP priorities. We're now going to turn to Assemblywoman Berlina Reynolds Jackson, who has been a champion for us in expanding the earned income tax credit. She represents the 15th legislative district in Mercer and Hunterdon County. She was sworn into the Assembly in 2018 and is the vice chair of the Assembly Consumer Affairs Committee and serves on the Budget and the Commerce and Economic Development Committees. Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson is also the prime sponsor, as I mentioned, of legislation to help older low-wage workers by eliminating the current age cap on the Earned Income Tax Credit program. The Assemblywoman has also worked for the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs and for the Mercer County Board of Social Services. She was also a member of the Trenton Council, representing the East Ward for a 4-year term. Thank you for joining us today, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson. It is so nice to see you.
Good morning, everybody. I am so happy to be here with you all today. And I am so super duper proud to announce I am 46 days away from my 50th birthday. So I'm already a card toting member, but it's going to be official now. So I'm super duper happy about that. And I'm, you know, one of the things that I do so heart passionately is work for seniors. You know, I remember when I first got started, my senior resident, her name was Virginia Snell, and she had a problem with the sidewalk, and she wasn't happy with the slow response we were getting from our utility provider to fix it. And she said to me, if I was your mother or your grandmother, this would have been fixed 2 weeks ago. And so that's the type of passion that I go after every time I'm working on a piece of legislation. How would this impact someone that I love and that I want to make sure they're taken care of? So this package of bills that we talked about for the earned income tax definitely affects a lot of people on this call. So we have our call to action, and you said a few of them. I didn't hear all of the bills, but just in case, I'd like to say them again. And that is Bill A39, A839. And this is the bill that would increase the benefit amount under the New Jersey Earned Income Tax Program for individuals who cannot claim a qualifying child. So that's very, very important, because oftentimes we do take care of, but they may be claimed on someone else, but it doesn't mean that we're not still providing food, clothing, shelter, school supplies, and all the things that they need in between. The other one that is very, very important to me is A840. And this bill enhances the benefits that provide for under New Jersey Earned Income Tax Credit by treating qualifying relatives of a qualifying child for the purpose of determining the federal Earned Income Tax Credit. The amount that the New Jersey Earned Income Tax Credit would be based upon. So we still need to have this bill also heard in committee. And the other one that I want to highlight is A841. And this bill would increase the benefit amounts under the Earned Income Tax Credit up to 50%. And that's waiting to be heard. So all three bills are waiting to be heard in the Appropriations Committee. So as you continue your lobby day and continue to contact your state legislators, we have to continue to advocate to get these bills heard and passed. And so I'm here to ask for your help, as you always have been. And I need your help in helping get these bills to the floor. And the main goal of the bill, of these bills that I've introduced, is to remove those additional barriers to EITC to support our working class families and strengthen the broader New Jersey economy. The goal of the bill package is to lower the minimum age to 18 and remove the upper age cap and increase program benefits. Since most EITC recipients use credits to meet short-term and medium-term needs, such as transportation, household supplies, utility bills, and expanding eligibility would increase the economic activity and support businesses. The bill package would expand the opportunities for them to reinvest back into our local economies. These bills are also timely because so many New Jerseyans are struggling to meet the needs in uncertain times. As we open up society and our economy, I fully understand how important it is that as we invest in the tools and programs such as EITC, that we would use our direct support to support workers and strengthen the state's economy. So those are just some brief remarks, but I really, I can't thank you enough for all of the work that you continue to do. I'm definitely going to be highlighting some of our libraries and these bills in our newsletter that's going to be coming out. So if you have anyone that wants to submit a quote or testimony, let me know. We would love to. We're able to do our newsletter again before November. And I definitely thank you for all of your support, but we're not done yet. We still have to get these over, and you listed a whole bunch of other things too that we need to continue to work on. So thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, I'm still available.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all of your work there. As you've heard, that's a high priority for AARP, and we look forward to working with you to get these measures over the finish line. Of course, we're very excited that this year the governor included in his budget eliminating the age cap. That's one of those measures that you talked about. So, so maybe we're going to see some progress there, and that's certainly going to be part of our push as we move through these budget negotiations. Let me just also say congratulations to soon joining, as we like to say, the 50 and Better Club. Yeah. Very happy to have you join us. We may have a question or two. Katie, do we have a question?
We do. We have a couple. So the first question is from Lily.
Lily, you're on mute. So there.
Good morning, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, thank you for your enthusiasm and your support. And could you just tell us why the earned income tax credit is important?
You know, it's first of all, I think we have to really promote it more. I don't think we get enough people to participate. But it's important because it helps out families, it helps out individuals, it helps out, our senior population. It helps out people that need this additional money that they qualify for. New Jersey is kind of behind on the times. A lot of other states have been doing this already in terms of increasing those income amounts, but we're getting there. And so I'm looking forward to the 50% that's supposed to be coming up soon. I think, did I say the date on that? I think it's coming up June. We just had one January 2020. So January 2022, we're supposed to go up to 50% to increase the benefits. And again, it helps out in so many different ways, whether it's food, transportation, utility bills, medication, everyday normal day-to-day things that we need. So it's important that we continue to get the word out so that people know that they should apply. It's in addition to their income tax. And I think that's where a lot of people miss it. And so I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure people know that it's available as well. And my mom's name is Lily. And so Lily, it's so a pleasure. Thank you for asking that great question.
Yes, Lily, thank you for asking that question. And Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. Your colleague, Assemblywoman McKnight, is waiting in the wings. So
I see Assemblyman Cher also.
Yeah. So thank you again for being here with us. And we look forward again to working with you on all of these important initiatives that you're championing on behalf of older workers. So
you're welcome. And
thank
you so much. Assemblywoman McKnight, it's great seeing you too.
Nice seeing you too, Assemblywoman.
So Assemblywoman Angela McKnight is with us. She was elected to the Assembly in 2016 and represents the 31st Legislative District, which covers Hudson County. She serves as the co-chairwoman of the Assembly Homeland Security and State Preparedness Committee and is a member of the Assembly Aging and Senior Services and Women and Children's Committees. Assemblywoman McKnight is a champion for older residents and is a prime co-sponsor of legislation to expand the scope of New Jersey's law against age discrimination. She is a prime co-sponsor of legislation to create a caregiver's tax credit for the more than 1 million unpaid family caregivers in New Jersey, a prime co-sponsor of legislation to prevent the shutoff of utility services during a pandemic, and most recently championing a bill that was enacted into law requiring long-term care facilities as a condition of their licensure to implement policies to prevent social isolation of residents living in long-term care facilities. Thank you for joining us today, Assemblywoman, and thank you for all of your work. Please welcome Assemblywoman McKnight.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you and to hear the plethora of legislation that I am championing with all of you, because I know AARP has been at the forefront since I've been an Assemblywoman, even prior to being an Assemblywoman. I work with many of the local chapters. One is here in Jersey City. I work with also the one in Montclair, and it's always been a great avenue, a great partnership to see so many people working for the aging population. So I'm happy to be here with you all. And as we heard, I'm on several pieces of legislation as well as laws that will benefit seniors and caregivers, as well as family members, right? To go. So I am here. I'm ready to answer any questions that you may have. And if you have any issues that you want me to get on, to champion, this is the forum to tell me, because I will. And I want to say to Katie York, we've been working together in Montclair before she joined AARP. And Katie, you have been a great partner And thank you so much for all that you have done with the seniors over there in Montclair and AARP. You are a great asset to be on with them. So I am here and I'm ready
Thank
to
you.
answer any questions.
All right. Well, thank you for everything you do. And thank you for those kind words for Katie. We are thrilled, of course, that she's with us at AARP, building on that great work and expertise that she has. Katie, do we have any questions for Assemblywoman McKnight?
We do. We have a question from Deborah.
Deborah?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Assemblywoman McKnight. I'd like to start by thanking you for your leadership in working to expand eligibility for PAD and the Senior Gold Program. Can you share your thoughts about why this is important to you for people to gain access to these programs?
Yes, that's a great question. And prior to me being an Assemblywoman, I started almost 10 years ago. This October will be 10 years. I started a nonprofit called Angela Cares. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have three main programs. One is Care for Seniors, where we do case management, health and wellness. We have a program called Joys, Join Our Youth and Seniors for the Intergenerational Program, and Empower Caregivers to help caregivers with seniors. And through our Care for Senior program, as well as the Empower Senior Caregivers, we come in contact with an array of seniors who need help. The PAD program, I'm also a SHIP coordinator. So I help seniors get their insurance, also fill out the low subsidy, including the PAD application and the Senior Goal. And those programs are so needed because it can help a senior get prescriptions, and they can use their money where they've been paying for to buy food. Because many seniors, it's a shame that they have to figure out, how can I use the little bit of money that I have? Do I get my prescriptions, or can I buy food? So the PAD program, the Senior Go program, allows seniors more access so that they can get their medication. This is so much needed. Also, it will prevent seniors from cutting their bill in half because some of them can't afford to buy their prescriptions. So to be on, this piece of legislation to increase the threshold, the income threshold, so that more seniors can get the PAD program and the Senior Gold program, it's so much needed. And I know this piece of legislation will definitely touch more seniors, and through my agency, I will be able to fill out more PAD applications and more Senior Goal applications. I'm going to have my team to start calling the seniors to see, okay, you weren't eligible then, but you know what, you're eligible now. So come on down, or let's get on this phone, let's fill out this application so that you can get the needed services. So it's a need, it's a huge need.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Deborah, for that question. And Assemblywoman McKnight, thank you for that information. For those who would like more information about PAD and Senior Gold, we put a link in the chat. And Assemblywoman McKnight, thank you for stopping by this morning. It's always wonderful to see you. We look forward to continuing our work together, especially as we get through these final weeks of the budget session. So have a wonderful day, and we will, I'm sure, see you soon. We're going to be moving on to our next guest this morning, and that's Senator, thank you. And that is Senator Joseph Vitale, who hails from Middlesex County and was sworn into the Senate in 1998, where he represents the 19th Legislative District. Senator Vitale is one of the most highly respected voices in the legislature and the state on all matters healthcare. Senator Vitale chairs the Senate Health, Human Services, and Senior Citizens Committee and is vice chair of the Senate Transportation Committee. Realizing the pressing need for better access to healthcare for all, Senator Vitale created New Jersey's Family Care Program, which provides critical health care coverage to low-income families. We are very proud to have worked with Senator Vitale for many years awarding him AARP's New Jersey's Legislative Leadership Award in 2010 for his contributions to health access and quality in New Jersey. He has worked to support the expansion of innovative care models like accountable care organizations, and he has also championed legislation to require to protect, I should say, healthcare consumers by requiring the Department of Health to publicly report certain preventable patient safety errors at New Jersey hospitals. In 2019, we were very proud to award the AARP Capital Caregiver Award to Senator Vitale for championing passage of the Nurse Licensure Compact here in New Jersey, which expands access to health care. Most recently, he has led the effort in the New Jersey legislature to respond to COVID-19's tragic impact on our long-term care facilities. Senator Vitale spearheaded a legislative package of far-reaching reform bills to protect the safety of residents and improve the quality of care, a package that now serves as a model around the country. These reforms include long overdue transparency and oversight mechanisms concerning new nursing home ownership, minimum staffing standards in nursing homes, the establishment of a long-term emergency operations center, and more. We're thrilled to have you with us this morning, Senator Vitale. Please welcome Senator Joe Vitale.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm driving, so I have the video off, and you're all better off for that anyway. But thank you for that kind introduction.
Yeah, we're here. Go ahead.
So thank you for the kind cool. So thank you for the kind introduction, and you know, it's always a pleasure to work with you and AARP over all these years. I know you asked some more issues and politicians, and I mean, how can you not be? When we've all had parents, have or had parents, grandparents, we have some challenges that they sometimes face, and you know, later in life. And you know, I don't know when I've been the example of our culture, but the cultures who really embrace those who are seniors based on wisdom and their knowledge and their experiences, and they go out of their way to respect the elderly and senior citizens. So we can learn a little bit from that culture or those cultures that do that, and not think that, oh, well, someone's older, they don't have as much usefulness as they used to. They have a heck of a lot of usefulness, and I have that experience in my life with my parents, my grandparents, and having learned from them and listened to them. And so all that being said, I appreciate the opportunity to be on this call and to maybe answer some questions a little bit later on. But as you mentioned, you kind of went through the agenda of the things that we've been involved in together, and your advocacy as an organization individually to get these bills through the legislature. Sometimes they're not easy, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of thought. Words matter. These pieces of legislation, the way they're written, the words matter, and so it's what we've done historically, but also what we're doing now to increase access for care, to protect our seniors. You know, the nursing home issue is just awful. Whether it's, you know, nursing homes or in our veterans homes, the 3 here in New Jersey where we've lost to
Senator Vitale, we're having some trouble hearing you.
Better spot. Is this any better?
That's better, yes.
Okay. So I'm just saying that, you know, the nursing homes, the deaths that are nursing homes and the deaths that are veterans homes, where we lost 1/3 of the men and women at the Mountain Park facility, the veterans home, and many in Paramus and a few in down south in Vineland, is really inexcusable. And so, you know, we, as a legislature and individually, we made demands that leadership change, and they did. And so now we have, God willing, you know, people running those facilities who understand the medical needs of those who live there, and the nursing homes as well. That industry sometimes is, you know, bereft of real leadership, and in terms of the kind of medical care that individuals who live there demand and require, and by the way, deserve. So we're working diligently to change that as well. We've passed some laws lately to increase oversight and safety, but there's more to do. So with that, I'll turn it over to you. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
I think we do have a couple questions in the chat. Katie?
Yep, we've got a question from Pam.
Pam?
Hi. Good morning, Senator.
Hi, Pam.
Okay. New Jersey has become a national leader in addressing long-standing issues in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. And as a result of your leadership, New Jersey now requires more oversight and transparency into who owns a nursing home and minimum staff to patient ratios to ensure safe and appropriate care for nursing home residents. So what changes do you think are the most significant, and can you share with us what more needs to be done?
Well, thanks, Pam. That's a great question, great points. And I think first and foremost, we have to just acknowledge that whether it's a veterans home or it's a traditional nursing home, these are medical homes. And I know that it's more times than not, the last place people will live. And while the issues of recreation and therapy and things of that nature are important, their medical needs should come first, whether it's their mental health needs or their physical needs. And staffing and those who work there and provide that care is of utmost importance and significance. So, they're generally speaking, certified nurse aides are underpaid, underappreciated, and overworked. And to the extent that they work two jobs in two different facilities. And so, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to work hard for a living, right? A lot of us have done that over the years when we were kids, or our parents or grandparents have worked two jobs to make ends meet. That's life. But if you're caring for people in these kinds of settings, you really need to be able to focus all of your energy on them and not have to worry about picking up a second job or another shift, and putting yourself at risk for that matter, and those with whom you have the trusted care. So increasing their pay, their benefits, and taking seriously what they do for a living. Sometimes we overvalue someone who makes a lot of money. So think about someone who's making, 6 figures or 7 figures. Well, they must be important and they must be special. And maybe they are, and maybe they have a education, or they got a good break in life, or they moved up the chain in the corporate world. But, we identify someone's importance or value based on what they earn. Well, if that's true, then we certainly don't value the certified nurse aide, who and nurses, by the way, who day to day care for those who are at risk. So it's about paying them more. And it's not because you don't get into that business to make a lot of money, but you should be rewarded for the work that you do. And so we're working to make that happen. And it's also the way that the private or for-profit nursing homes operate. So there's a bill in the legislature that's moving through that would require nursing homes who sell to another nursing home facility. These are all for-profit, big conglomerates, right? There was one that recently sold a half a dozen or more of their nursing homes to a larger entity. And the first thing that larger entity did was to cut their time off, to get rid of their pension, as a way of saying thank you for working so hard during the pandemic. And so that's just an awful thing to have happen to someone who's been working for 14, 15 years at someone's bedside, taking care of their personal needs. And now you've cut their vacation time, you've taken away their pension and replaced it with a 401k that the employer is not going to contribute towards. I mean, it's just crazy. So anyway, I don't want to get off on a rant, but it's the way that we treat the nursing home workers is of, I think, utmost importance. And secondly, the nursing homes had to be prepared for responding to medical emergencies. Now, they've been in this business for a long time, and this isn't new to them. I mean, every year there's a seasonal flu. There could be an outbreak of the regular flu in a nursing home, and they know how to respond to that, or at least they should. So when the pandemic happened and they said, gee, we don't know what to do, tell us, it's kind of laughable. I mean, at the end of the day, the virus was going to get into those facilities like it did just about every place else. We did not know that people who were infected with the virus and were not symptomatic could actually spread it. And after we learned that, of course, we took action. But by then it was kind of too late, and the virus was in those facilities. But again, how did we respond once we knew that the virus was in the facilities? Were they quarantining properly? The answer is no, not in most places. Were they caring for them as appropriately as they should have? No, in most cases they weren't. So we've done some bills over the past several months. We don't need to wait till the pandemic is over to respond to the needs of nursing home residents and those who work there. But we're going to be doing more so that if this ever happens again, they're prepared and we're prepared to respond in the appropriate manner. Long answer to a short question. Sorry about that.
Don't apologize at all,
not at
Senator.
all.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Pam.
For,
Thank you.
all of your work, your concern, your passion, and we could probably talk all day about what needs to get done, and look forward to continuing our work with you. I have a feeling you're probably on your way to Trenton for a hearing today, and so we're going to let you go. But again, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you especially for all of the work that you do on behalf of all New Jerseyans to improve everyone's health care. So thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks everyone for being on this call. Everyone have a great day.
You too. Finally, we're really thrilled to go to our next speaker, our last speaker of this morning's session, and that is Commissioner Judy Persic-Kelly, fondly known as the woman who needs no introduction. She is the Commissioner of New Jersey's Department of Health, which oversees our public health services and systems. A nurse by training, and along with the rest of her day job, Commissioner Persic-Kelly plays a critical role in leading the state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, including New Jersey's wide-scale vaccination program. During the last 15 months, she has been extremely gracious with her time, joining us for several teletown halls with thousands of AARP members looking for the most up-to-date information on the pandemic. Prior to joining the administration, Commissioner Persic-Kelly served as the acting CEO of University Hospital in Newark and has served as CEO and president of various healthcare systems. Thank you again for being with us today, Commissioner. Please all welcome Commissioner Judy Persic-Kelly.
Thanks so much, Evelyn. It's a real honor to be with you all today. And you know, I'd like to remind everyone, I am a proud member of AARP. And I couldn't be more proud of the advocacy that is so outstanding on the part of AARP. You embody an advocacy organization, and so many of seniors, you know, should be thanking all of you every day for the work that you do. It's a pleasure to join you and your members to discuss our COVID-19 response and our vaccination initiative. We talked in March about our efforts, and there's been many developments since that time. AARP represents a population, as you know, that has been greatly impacted by this pandemic, our older New Jerseyans. Whether they live in communities or long-term care facilities, those 65 and older experienced a significant burden from the virus and the impact it's had on your ability to visit with friends and loved ones, to reflect and to gather has been significant. Some fought COVID-19 and others suffered from the isolation this pandemic forced upon us. There's some alarming statistics. Nearly 80% of our deaths in this state were among those 65 and older, 80%. This population accounts for nearly 50% of all of our COVID-19 hospitalizations. Thankfully, vaccines have given us a tool to end this pandemic and to stop these alarming statistics. Since COVID-19 vaccination started in mid-December, we gave our first dose on December 15th to an emergency room nurse at University Hospital. More than 9 million doses of vaccine have been administered in our state. The state prioritized those most at risk for COVID-19 early in December using the Federal Pharmacy Partnership Program for long-term care. Vaccinations began immediately in our nursing homes and our assisted living facilities. We've made significant progress since then. Over 85% of our residents in nursing homes and 63.5% of the staff in long-term care facilities are now fully vaccinated. To share as a reference point the impact that vaccinations have had in long-term care. We entered 2021 in January with almost 450 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. I'm pleased to report today we have under 100. In fact, we probably have about 85 outbreaks, and 20 facilities are nearing their 28-day outbreak pause and will be taken off the list as an outbreak. So that's from January till now, 400 to under 100. So vaccine, that's just to show you that vaccines are working. Also, to increase transparency and accountability, we launched a new long-term care landing page on the Department of Health's website to provide key resources for families, advocates like yourselves, the public, facilities, and staff information on all of our long-term care facilities in the state. The webpage includes information on current outbreaks, a user-friendly portal to identify reopening status of facilities, and links to summaries of the inspection reports to make it easier for consumers to view critical information about the performance of each facility on key health and safety metrics, including the vaccination rates of the staff and residents. Both the governor and I have encouraged those with loved ones in those facilities to review the data and ask the facility administrators what efforts they are undertaking to increase vaccination rates in their own facilities. Additionally, the department has made a concentrated effort to ensure that those over 65 who are most at risk for severe impacts of COVID-19 are vaccinated. That's through our dedicated call center line and appointments that we set aside for seniors only. We were able to make tens of thousands of outbound calls to seniors to book them for appointments, and it paid off. Let me give you some statistics. Right now, as we sit here today, 89% of individuals in New Jersey, 65 years and older, have received at least one dose of the vaccine. So they have started their vaccine journey. 89%, it's among the highest in the nation. And 80% of individuals 65 and older are fully vaccinated. That is a significant statistic. So I want to thank AARP for the partnership in this effort. I know that you have spread the word on the value of vaccines. I know from the calls I've been on with you that you have been staunch advocates for vaccinations amongst the senior population, and it has paid off. 80% fully vaccinated, 89% of 65 and older with at least one dose. So the CDC has released data that confirms the results of clinical trials, which found that vaccination generally reduces the risk for COVID-19 hospitalizations in those 65 and older. A study they released in May demonstrated that fully vaccinated seniors had a 94% reduction in risk of hospitalization. So if you are fully vaccinated, you have a 94% reduction in the risk of hospitalization. So now that we're 6 months into our experience of vaccinating in the largest, by the way, vaccination program in the state's history, we have now shifted to a more very strategic focus, going deep into communities to try to reach those who have not been vaccinated yet. So pop-up vaccine clinics are playing an important role in getting individuals vaccinated in our state. We are meeting individuals where they are, in their communities, where it's convenient, familiar, and safe. The vaccine is available at nearly 1,800 locations, from neighborhood pharmacies, churches, sporting events, community organizations, even barbershops. Many sites are accommodating walk-ins where no appointments are necessary. To help us in this effort, we launched a COVID Community Corps, volunteers that are being deployed in high priority municipalities, making an effort to reach communities, particularly communities of color, to provide information to help us with registration, and access to vaccination sites. We're also rolling out mobile units to bring vaccines to where people are, especially in high-need communities. There will be a mobile unit in New Brunswick this weekend. Those who have been impacted most by COVID-19, who perhaps cannot take time off to go to a vaccination site, can go to the mobile unit and be vaccinated, and we will make sure they get the second dose if they receive Moderna or Pfizer. The state is in an all-out effort to get more residents vaccinated through Operation Jersey Summer. We're doing all we can to get vaccines to where people are, and we need everyone with us in this work to vaccinate our children, our grandchildren, 12 years and older right now, our families and friends. Almost 25% of kids in New Jersey between the ages of 12 and 16 have been vaccinated since they were approved just a short 2.5 weeks ago. So thank you for your efforts to promote the vaccine among your members. It's working. You're saving lives. Every time you promote vaccination amongst seniors in New Jersey, you are saving lives. We still have more work to do, so please continue to join us in increasing vaccination rates in our state. It is our pathway to end this pandemic. Thank you, and I'll take any of the questions you may have.
Great. Commissioner, thank you again for being with us. What a journey it has been and continues to be. Sometimes I think you must be the busiest woman in New Jersey. And we so appreciate you being with here today, even just for a few minutes. Before we turn to our audience, let me ask you a couple questions. Talking about vaccines, do you have any thoughts you can share on whether or not you think we'll need a booster, or folks will need a booster in the fall or sometime soon? And if so, will the distribution plan be similar to what we've had over these last number of months? And great news, just great news on the progress that's been made with the vaccines, particularly for our older residents, and in reducing those outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. So
it's a great question, Evelyn, on boosters. You know, we still don't know if additional COVID-19 shots will be needed. We're learning more every week. It seems to be that they will be, because, you know, the clinical trials are continuing, and we're getting more information about how long the protection, the antibodies, the immunity lasts. So while many people predict that we will need additional vaccine or boosters, we don't know specifically yet, or whether it will be required. One possibility is the simple one-dose booster shot that we've all come to be familiar with in prior immunizations. Another possibility is a dose of a vaccine developed perhaps to give protection against some of the variants that we're seeing in the state. So there may be a little bit of a change in the formulation of a new vaccine or a booster to make sure that the variants we're also protected against the variants. A third possibility is a dose of a different vaccine that you received the first time. In other words, if you got Pfizer, you may get a different formulation the second time around. So more to come. I think we can be assured that there will be more information on vaccines and boosters, and more than likely, we'll use the term booster because it's a term I think we all understand, more than likely will be a booster in the future. Not quite there yet, but I think we could expect that that's going to happen.
Okay, so we'll keep an ear and an eye out for more on that to come. And before I turn to our audience, just, before you came on, we were talking to Senator Vitale, you know, who I think you know well, and under your leadership, the governor, Senator Vitale, and the legislature, New Jersey has responded to the pandemic with multiple new laws around reforming our long-term care system, including standards for direct care staffing, task force on workforce development, the establishment of a task force on long-term care and quality, the Emergency Operations Center. I could go on. We are really a model of reform for the rest of the country. Can you just give us an update on where we are on implementing some of those initiatives and kind of what's to come?
Sure. First, let's just give a shout out to the governor and the legislature for how they responded to the most daunting, challenging situation we had during this whole pandemic. And that was how the pandemic disproportionately hit the vulnerable population in nursing homes. Our governor and legislature responded. We've emerged as a nationwide leader in nursing home reform by enacting a number of laws, new laws, things like you suggested, requiring minimum direct care staffing standards, developing a task force on the direct care workforce, establishing a statewide task force on long-term care safety and quality to develop strategies to rebalance our system and expand, most importantly, home and community-based services as well, and laws to improve, and I think Senator Vitale talked about this, financial transparency and scrutiny of ownership of nursing homes. We also, because we were so challenged with the resiliency of long-term care, that's why in early May, we contracted with Manette Health to examine both our immediate response and necessary long-term reforms. Following that report, we've been busy implementing many of the recommendations to increase the quality, safety, and resilience in our nursing homes. We implemented an aggressive testing strategy, testing being one of our most important mitigation activities. We have performed more than 1.7 million tests, COVID-19 tests in long-term care, not only of residents, but also of staff. We established a long-term care emergency operations center, and a steering committee headed by Dr. Adenaro, who is an emergency room physician who joined us as Deputy of Public Health. We also established interdepartmental work groups to improve communication and collaboration regarding long-term care. We created in the department the Office of Long-Term Care Resiliency to increase our oversight, inspections, and enforcement of nursing home infection control and other health and safety recommendations. Our goal is to strengthen and support the facilities. This office has been analyzing COVID-19 data. It reaches out directly to facilities every single day. If there is a facility that's in outbreak status, they will get a call from the Resiliency Center to find out what's going on. And if you have a vaccination rate under 70%, you will get a call to find out what you're doing to encourage staff and residents from being vaccinated, to get them vaccinated. In most cases, our residents are over the 70%. I don't think at this point we have any facility that have under 70% vaccination rate in the residents. We have under 70% in the employees, and we are working with those facilities to help educate, encourage, to become more aware of what the hesitancy is, and to help individuals, particularly employees, get vaccinated. We also provide resources, whether they need testing supplies, PPE, training, and education. We have been on the phone with the long-term care managers every week since the long-term care resiliency department has been open. And we have sponsored educational programs for staff and managers, more than 50 hours of education. So what we're trying to do is not only educate, promote, encourage, we're advising facilities on how to implement the new statutory CNA staffing ratios. We issued a memo to the management of the facilities in January of this year, alerting them that compliance with the act is required. And we also held a call with the long-term care providers outlining all of the requirements of the law, and also how we are going to be responding and do respond to complaints on this issue. So a lot going on in this regard, and it will continue throughout the pandemic and into the future. We will not rest till the structural aspects and the operational aspects of long-term care in our state are improved.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you again for all of your work. If you have another minute or two, I would like to turn to some of our members who have questions. I know Marion has a question on visitation in long-term care facilities. Marion, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you for all you've done. My question for the day is visitation open now in all New Jersey long-term facilities? And must you get vaccinated to visit your friends and family?
Thanks for that question, Marion. You know, with cases in New Jersey being on the decline and vaccinations increasing, as I shared, we're seeing a significant reduction in outbreaks at our facilities. So we've taken steps to ensure that nursing home residents can be reunited with their friends and family, can hug and can touch. While outdoor visitation is certainly preferred generally, if the weather would hold up, facilities must now allow indoor visitation with some exceptions for unvaccinated residents, and also when there is an active outbreak. That's why we are working aggressively with those phone calls every day to get people out of active outbreak. Health and safety are paramount, as you can imagine, but the emotional well-being of our residents is as important. We've now permitted volunteers and hairstylists to return. We allow communal dining and group activities. And most importantly, during visitation, if both the visitor and the resident are fully vaccinated, residents can have close contact, which means they can finally hug their loved ones. They may also remove their face masks if they are alone in the resident's room or even the designated visitation room. Fully vaccinated residents may choose to have close contact, include touching with unvaccinated visitor. However, when it's an unvaccinated visitor, even if the resident is vaccinated, they both should wear well-fitting face masks. So unvaccinated visitor, but vaccinated resident, please wear a mask. This is a respiratory disease. We know there's breakthrough, and we do not want these very vulnerable residents to be one of the breakthrough, even though those percentages are low, you know, like 0.04% breakthrough. We don't want it to be in vulnerable residents. And we're not out of the woods yet, but as vaccination increases, we hope even more normalcy will return to those who live, work in nursing homes and visit in nursing homes. And we're getting there. 450 outbreaks in January, under 100 reported today, of which 20 are close to being totally out of their outbreak. So that will bring us to only 60 of our hundreds of facilities. We have over 600 nursing home and assisted living facilities in New Jersey. And to have under 100 outbreaks, of which we hope will be under 50 soon, is phenomenal. It's a great, extraordinary result.
It is phenomenal. And looking forward to getting down to zero one of these days. And as I mentioned to our other guests, we hope this is our last virtual day at the Capitol, and that we will all be able to be in person next year. Commissioner, thank you so much for your time. I want to be considerate of the hour. On behalf of all of AARP's 1.2 million Garden State members, thank you for all you do, and we look forward to continuing our work together. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Evelyn. It's great to be with you all. I always have enjoyed the work that you've done, your advocacy, and the help that you've given us. I don't want that to go unnoticed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So everyone, I'm sorry if we weren't able to get to your questions. We have had a jam-packed hour and a half and want to thank the commissioner and the legislators who joined us today. I want to remind you that this is just the first half of our annual virtual day at the Capitol. Tomorrow at 9:30, we start again from 9:30 to 11, where we are very pleased to let you know that we will have the Senate President and the Assembly Speaker, the second and third most powerful legislators in the state, and who will, along with the governor, be very focused on the budget, including all of those priorities that we've outlined today. Sorry we didn't have more time to go into more detail, but you have a number of links in the chat that will take you to more information about New Jersey's budget and legislative priorities. We urge you to go there. We urge you to take action today. We urge you to come back tomorrow. And before we sign off, I would be more than remiss if I didn't thank our amazing volunteers and staff who made today happen. That's Larry Finch, who has our wonderful Zoom host, Crystal McDonald, who has led our day at the Capitol, Katie York, who you know was taking questions in the chat, Mariana Antoli, who helped us put together these slides, Rachel Auerbach, our communications director, Stephanie Hunsinger, our state director. Thank you, Stephanie, for leading us today. Suzanne Coda, who has also been very busy in the background. Maria Guerra, also on our staff, who has been managing the background. And Robin Mosley, also from our staff, who, without all of whom, would not, today would not be possible. So I will sign us all off for today. I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Thank you again. Thank you for your action, and thank you for your support. Bye now.